It's we should be live now.
Okay. What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining us instead of the State of the Union, instead of
Let's
Joe
see if
Biden.
let's see if we're actually live.
It says live on the screen.
It does,
Uh,
but I don't see it updating yet. Let's see.
it's just the two of us, so all you're going to hear about is Bitcoin and Tesla and Enphase. That's it, baby.
No, I do want to talk about this OpenAI thing. Um, there we
Sure.
go. We are live. We are live.
Let me see. Is Biden talking yet? I think I have it. I have it live right now. No, he's not. He's not
If you
on.
got it live, that's something we can stream if you want to put on a little bit of that.
Yeah, we can, well, we can leave it in on the side
Yeah.
here.
Rafi says we're un-American. This is the most American thing ever to be like, I don't care about. I just only care about my portfolio. No,
So
Joseph Amit is not coming today, so feel free to log out right now. We won't be offended.
yeah, we will not be talking about how good Palantir is. Why don't you make it like that's smaller for now until something happens? Like those little boxes.
Let's see. Well, we could just go back to this or this. We don't even need to
Whatever.
bring it up.
Fine. Um. Okay. So thoughts on what guys went on tonight? Oh, thought you guys went on tonight.
They're probably saying
Mm,
weren't on tonight.
yeah,
The
I guess so.
thumbnail told me
Yeah,
otherwise.
we well, yeah, Mitt was busy, and I think Chris wants to sleep, and I was like, sure, I'll do it, and Carlos was like, yeah, I'm ready, and so we figured we'll talk about something,
We'll just
and
come on till we're bored.
until we're bored. And if you guys have questions or you want to come on, maybe we have some people pop on the pod and we discuss.
Yeah,
But there's a couple of topics.
here. Let me throw the link in the chat if people want to pop on.
Yeah.
I do want to. I mean, I just posted what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about Nvidia, not necessarily Nvidia as it's running, but what does it mean for the broader market overall, and how is this going to affect things moving forward? And then a little bit on Bitcoin, and then we should talk a little bit about the OpenAI stuff.
You mean Elon and OpenAI? That's what you mean?
Yeah, like the war
Mhm.
that's happening now. I mean, that was all
War.
essentially that's all was essentially triggered by. Maybe we can just talk about that now. That was all essentially triggered by Gemini. That's what started this conversation. Is
Yeah.
a few days after that went down, that's when Elon announced the lawsuit. What did you think about that?
The lawsuit? I mean,
How he,
look, there's obviously a lot of history there that we don't know of with OpenAI. We know he was a part of it. We know he gave money and then he stopped wanting to participate in it. We know those things are true. So, but all of these intricacies that I think Sam Altman posted his thing about that, well, Elon did want to go for profit, or there was things about going for profit that he was behind. So there's a lot of things that we don't know that I guess maybe Elon wants out in the open if he's willing to go through discovery and actually follow through. We'll find out things, but it's not as one-sided when I first heard Elon talk about it, like, oh, OpenAI was open and then they're closed. After reading Sam Altman's thing, I'm a little bit mixed. I think both things are happening here. I think Elon might have not been happy because his intention was to integrate OpenAI into Tesla or to just have some control over it. And I think he lost that control during those years, those earlier years. I don't think he was ever happy about that. And he expected them to fail, and they haven't. So I think a lot of things are going on that we don't know, basically. Um, what do you think?
yeah, no, I mean, I agree with a lot of what you're saying. I think what's interesting, first of all, I'm just glad that the conversation's happening, and I'm glad that it's happening publicly. And
Oh,
I
yeah, it's
think
cool.
I'm glad that it's
Definitely.
happening publicly and that they're going back and forth. I think Elon very rarely comes up against people that he is not more dominant than. And I think
Hmm.
it's interesting to see him fighting somebody who is not afraid of Elon, right? Or at least not afraid in the ways that are different than like what Disney is doing. There's someone who'll actually come back at him. I also think it underscores how important all these guys are taking AI, just the development of AI, but also the control of AI. So as much as people try to downplay whatever some of the negative aspects of AI are, I think that the how hard they're defending it and basically trying to carve out their piece of it tells me that it's probably undervalued as a technology. We don't even really understand how deep this thing's going to go and how much effect it's going to have. The other thing is it ties back to the conversation, that ongoing conversation that we've been having about Tesla and Twitter and the effects of Elon on Tesla stock. I think that the shareholders like myself that don't have a problem with what Elon is saying and actually encourage him to say that. And again, guys, if you disagree, keep me, correct me. But I feel like investors like myself recognize that there is a detrimental effect to Elon being as vocal as he is about politics on Twitter. I don't think anyone's denying that. I think the difference is where some shareholders,
A lot of people are denying it. Maybe you were even denying it at one point, maybe not now.
No. What I'm saying is, I'm not denying that it has an adverse effect. I think the difference is whether or not what should be done as a result of that. There's a school of thought of people that say, well, he should keep his mouth shut and not say politics because he'll be punished for it. And there's the other side that says, no, this is calling out hypocrisy, especially if the things that they're supposedly canceling him for are being done by other companies. But now I'm not happy to see my portfolio falling, and I recognize that, and I still will support Elon with that, which means I'm willing to suffer a hit in the portfolio for this other thing. And I think it's important to note that as an investor that is okay with him, that would like line up with my side, we still expect a return on that investment. So if you're going to go out there and politically fight these fights, we're not just going to allow the portfolio to get tanked. Even if we think that it's unjust, we're not just going to let that happen. We still expect some sort of return on that investment. And so this is a conversation that I think will tell Tesla investors whether or not this return on investment that we're giving Elon with respect to a long leash to operate is actually going to pay dividends. Because if we do get to the discovery phase of this, I think we're going to find Elon's very good at controlling his message, and I think OpenAI will present a different side of Elon that we don't necessarily always see. A lot of times it's Elon defending himself from attacks on Tesla, but this is different. It's not about Tesla. This is about who Elon was at that time and how he truly feels about AI and how he truly feels about Tesla's positioning in AI. So I think us as Tesla investors, we want to see this thing go to discovery, because I think Elon's a really powerful guy, and it's nice to see him up against somebody who's not afraid of him and who's willing to throw some dirt. And it looks like some of it is legitimate. When you read AI's thing on their page, the emails that he's writing, those are in his own words. And so I'm looking forward to seeing how Elon defends himself against those things and how the case ultimately
So, I mean, it's cool to watch this out in the open. That part is sort of magical that we get to watch these billionaires fight it out. And I mean, think about it. In the day, even Bill Gates' day, like 20, 30 years ago, you didn't really know all the intricacies that were going on. Even though later we learned about, like, for example, IBM.
Closed door depositions.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, I don't know if you know the history of like the computer revolution, but Bill Gates basically did a massive intelligent business move, took over operating systems because IBM let him in the door. Yeah. And this was all written about like a decade after the fact, like more publicly.
Right.
But imagine you were living in it and you can watch it almost day by day evolve.
Right. Yeah.
Like that's what we have a front row seat to this thing. But in terms of being good for Elon or for Tesla shareholders, I don't think so. I think him trying to go after OpenAI for what exactly? Like, once again, I still don't know. He left. He admits he left. That means you give up control. Like me and you are partners in a business, right? We have a property. Yeah. If you leave and I end up selling that house for $10 million in 10 years, yes, you can sue me, but honestly, you're out. That's it. Like the courts would still rule saying, hey, you did leave, right? You gave up your stake. You said, I don't want to be part of it anymore. And you moved on. And then 10 years later, you're like, well, I want to be back
now
in.
Now
that you're successful. Well, because that's what it feels like. It feels like they're successful. And Elon said, you're going to zero. His email, you're going to zero. This is not some make-believe thing. This is a certainty almost. I think he said it to those kinds of words. But they didn't go to zero. They partnered with Microsoft. And all of a sudden, they're going to $10 trillion, who knows? So I think there's a bit of ego hurt. Elon didn't get what he wanted. And also that's why he's going after, and I don't know if that's good for Tesla investors, by the way. So
I think it's an indicator that behind the scenes, OpenAI has reached a technical milestone that Elon can now accurately project the penetration and success from here forward. Because
he's like, I want some of this
urgency. Look, either it's that, either it's that, like, I want a piece of the action, or he wants to catch it before it actually explodes and becomes too powerful. But
I don't think you can stop it. I don't think you can stop what's going on. Microsoft has enough money to fight this forever.
I don't think he can stop it, but I think that's why he's doing this. I don't think he's, in other words, I'm not convinced that he actually thinks he can win this case. I think it was more about just the discovery phase and having certain things accessible to the public. I think he's riding the wave because, and I don't know if you and I specifically spoke about this, but I am surprised. It's kind of like us hitting an all-time high before the halving. I'm surprised that we're now having a public conversation about the ethics in AI right now. Typically, what you see with things like this, because remember, they tried to have the AI summit, they tried to regulate AI, lay the rules of engagement. It wasn't really successful. It was more just like, looks like a photo opportunity, but it wasn't until I figured it would be when we see some damage caused by AI that will cause the regulators to work. It's because it's sort of like you see with like the school shootings or the mass attacks. That's when the government gets together. It's never preventative. And I think that I was surprised that it was Gemini not being able to create white people, essentially, which is what sparked this conversation, that it was really sort of like a victimless crime in that sense. And so I think it's interesting for the conversation to be happening in public. And I think that's partially why he's doing it. Like, I don't know if he really thinks he can win this.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I guess we'll find out if he even follows through, because
What does he even want? Does he want money, or does he just want
well, if he was going to win something,
what do you
like
really want from this?
I think if he was going to win anything, which I doubt he will anymore, even after reading a little bit of the Sam Altman response, like he would get his 50 million back. Like, hey, you invested it, but you left. You're right. You deserve your money back.
Dude, they made. I looked at their balance sheets. Tesla is holding Bitcoin. They have 770 million in Bitcoin, and I think they've already made, I don't know, $2 or $3 million. So they made $2 or $3 million just from buying some Bitcoin. Like him going after $50 million that he invested into.
Well, it might not be the reason, but
unless it's like, I want a board seat, I want something where I can control this.
I don't think he's going to get any of that. Like, once again, once you leave,
conflict of interest. How could you sit on the board of a company who's you're technically?
Yeah, and his emails like, where I'm going to go start my own thing and compete against you. Like,
well, he did. I mean, that's what XAI is.
No, but what I'm saying, like, I think he was actually going to start an OpenAI type of thing. XAI is right now,
Right.
but that's current. I'm saying back in the day when this was discussed, what was this, like 8 years ago, 10 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
This is a while ago. So I don't think he ever started his OpenAI clone or whatever competition. I don't think that happened. I literally think, from what I've read so far, he wanted to own OpenAI. He wanted full control over it. And Sam Altman was smart enough not to give it to him. Mm-hmm. That's what it seems like.
Well, if you had to pick one or the other to have, dominant control, to have those fuck you shares of that company, I would give it to Elon over Sam Altman. But that's not the point. It's what should be, and what's legal or what's negotiated is completely different.
Yeah. In another news, back to the other Elon court case. He has so many now. Honestly, we can talk about his court cases,
like
but
Trump.
Honestly, yeah, Trump is being screwed.
CEO of any more companies.
Trump owes what, $500 million now? I don't even know. I've lost count. But basically,
$1 million, I think.
Elon has worked making Tesla successful, and I think this. I don't know if you watched the Brad Gerstner podcast, but they talked about it again. That like this Delaware thing is really sort of obnoxious, because imagine you made some sort of a deal that I won't get paid anything. And obviously that deal was good if you succeeded and you did all those thumbs up and you did those things. Yeah. Like you made a shitty deal, like Brad Gerstner and also Bill Gurley were talking about. You made a bad deal. Most likely you were going to fail and you were going to get nothing. So he took the chance on himself that he would not fail and he would make a boat ton of money. Like, that's the American dream. Yeah. Like, it feels like Delaware is shitting on Elon for literally living the American dream, because he's such a politicizing figure, and maybe it's a Biden thing. I don't know, but it just feels like it's totally wrong. I don't know how it gets solved, but also if it doesn't get solved, Delaware seems like it's totally screwed, because like, if you're a startup, would you want to open up your next company there as well? So I have no idea. This is way beyond my pay grade, but it all sounds terrible, honestly.
Oh, well, I think it's the same podcast, but they were talking about how all the companies are eventually going to have to move out of there, because Wall Street will see it as a risk.
Yeah.
So if you're incorporated there, Wall Street will start to see it as a risk, and it actually will affect your multiple. So it could start a cascade effect.
Well, and also if you're making some sort of a deal like for your startup and for your company, and you're like, you know what, I won't get paid right now. I'll just take it later, right? And you're incorporated there. All of a sudden, damn, these thumbs up things. But all of a sudden, that matters. You might not want to make that deal if you're incorporated in a place that's not favorable to you. So
the thing is, though, that's another court case that I don't think it's. I think it'll, I think it's going to be appealed, and I think they'll either win the appeal or like it's eventually it's going to get settled, and he's going to get paid. These are just
well, he can get paid later on because the board in Texas, whatever, like when they're in Texas, the board will decide.
Dude, these lawsuits are like the equivalent of us like toilet papering each other's house. You know what I mean? Like they
but no, but hold on, it's $50 billion, right? It's something like that. It's like 50. This is still like, even if you knew you were going to get paid years later, someone just took $50 billion out of his pocket.
That's what it is. For now, they took it for now.
I wouldn't want it gone for a minute.
I mean, if I was a lawyer, I mean, if you're a lawyer, wouldn't you just start opening up a bunch of these cases while the door's open? I would just start suing every CEO and basically take.
Well, first of all,
Warren should do it. She should start like a tax the rich and just be like, because look, Elon paid. If he loses this case, he paid 100% tax. You know what I mean? He paid 100% capital gains.
No, but what you're saying is true. First of all, I think you probably have these things that come in the mail to you where it says, hey, you lost money on this stock. We're joining a class action lawsuit to go sue. And I get so many of those things because I invested in all shit companies.
Yeah.
So, like, where's my FUV lawsuit? Okay, so anyway, besides that, I think the Elon court cases, he's going to be busy with that kind of shit. And just to end this off, I feel like he's being distracted by all of this stuff, and I want him focused. We kept talking about Elon when we were passionate about Elon, by the way, 2018, right? When we were on the phone, like 3-hour Elon love. I don't know if you remember that. It was because he was doing amazing things every day and talking about Mars and going to space and building amazing EVs. I don't hear that as much. And I know I get that he has a big team behind him, but it just doesn't feel the same. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't feel like the same guy.
Well, I think that's a familiarity fatigue, if anything. Like, the story, nothing's new and exciting to you. But talk to someone who doesn't know anything about Tesla right now, and you start explaining all the things, and you get to experience what it's like hearing about that company for the first time through somebody else. I just think, look, you're an OG investor. We've been invested in this company for a while now. So, I mean, we know the trajectory. We know where they've been. We know how hard it was. We know what they're planning to do, and we know the milestones that they're looking to hit. It's like, at this point, it's a set it and forget it type stock. I really don't concern myself with the everyday price. Although I do think that if we get around the 150 range and maybe even lower, who cares at this point? Really, it's just about.
Well, no, at this point, even I'm not going to offload anything. I had my chance. I took my bit of profit. Now I'm just waiting for, like you said, if it gets under 150, look, and it can, because like if you look at the chart, and I don't know if we should bring it up, but it's wrecked. So like it's on a big downtrend over the last 2-3 years, and it could totally go down. I think Jesse himself said $69 or something, which was funny. I don't think it's going there, honestly.
Him and what's his name, Gordon Johnson.
Yeah, him and Gordon Johnson. I don't think it's going there just because Elon will get a premium always. But look, if it went to 150, 140, would you be surprised? They already did it once. Why can't I do it again? Like, I just wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't care, and I would just buy some more and set it and forget it. It's operating a lot like a crypto.
It's
it literally just operates like a crypto. It just does whatever the hell it wants.
It feels like a lot of stocks are operating like crypto right now. Honestly.
Yeah, but like NVIDIA. I mean, NVIDIA is just absolutely defying gravity. It is. It doesn't this look just like a Bitcoin rally?
Yeah, if you bring up the chart, but I don't know. Like, first of all, I really regret. Now I would have had a 10x, almost a 9x in NVIDIA if I didn't sell. By the way, no, I'm serious. It would have been like a lot of cash I gave up because, once again, when you sell early, some sort of thesis you have because you're trying to scalp some money. I was trying to scalp a little bit of cash, and it just turned out to be the worst decision this last year.
I was talking with a buddy of mine, a mutual friend. You know this guy, talking about investing, and I was like, by the time you get to our age, you realize all the different ways that you could have been a multimillionaire by now.
Oh yeah, that's
what someone in their 20s doesn't understand. You guys are all sitting there trying to like build that position. I'm looking at this, being like, how the hell do I still have to do this?
Well, yeah. How did I fuck up so bad?
10 grand of NVIDIA. You know what I mean? If you just bought, there's so many. There's like little purchases, 10,000 here and there. You'd be done. The right stock, the right time, and the right allocation. That's, I mean, it sounds so simple.
Well, the thing is, I've had a lot of those, and I'm sure you did too, like Apple and all that. But it's the holding part where we give up after a certain time, where we get our multiple, like we make 200% or 300%. We're like,
Bounce.
well, wow, the thesis played out. It's amazing. And well, no, the thesis has not played out if you still believe in the long-term narrative of something. And honestly, even though I'm super bearish right now on Tesla, like I said, I still have lots of money in it. Like it's still, I look at it every day and I'm like, I have to think about what Elon's doing to it because I feel it's going down. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah. But because I feel that too. But the flip side of it is, regardless of what the day-to-day price is, there are certain sell levels that need to be hit. And so as long as it doesn't affect the time frame, like if I still felt like by 2027 we're not going to be in the $1,000, $1,200 range, if I still felt like we weren't still going to be there, then I would start to consider.
I just want to remind you, we were in at $40 billion, give or take, and we are at still
stagnated at this.
We are still at like 500, 600 billion or whatever it is worth now. So that's still a massive return that we have. We're still sitting on 12x or whatever, even now after all of this volatility, right? I just don't want to see all of that shit go to zero. Not zero. It's never going to zero, but you know what I mean. I don't want to see a car company at the end of this.
Look at this guy. Where is this one? In high school, we did a stock picking thing in BizCon. One of my stock was NVIDIA 2007. Bro, okay, so when you're in your 40s,
there you go.
You're going to look back and say, why didn't I just put $1,000 into that? You're going to look at that chart. It's going to look like, that's crazy. I forgot that I'm running this now. Here we go. Let's look at some. I've held NVIDIA since early 2000s. It went nowhere, lost a percentage during the holding period. It's not apparent at all. Exactly.
You should tweet out that we're live in case, because I think Amit told everybody we're not going to go live.
All right.
I think I did it too, but if you want to,
I'll do it up. All right. So meanwhile, here's like a thought experiment. Should we get rid of Tesla and Apple from the Mag 7 and bring in NVIDIA and Bitcoin?
Wait, NVIDIA, they're already in it.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah. Should we
Bitcoin,
should we get rid of Tesla or Apple and put in NVIDIA? And if only we could put Bitcoin into the Mag 7.
Bitcoin should be part of the Mag 7. Honestly,
I think we should somehow get Bitcoin into the Max. If that would be almost better than anything, than ETF approval.
I know. I know everybody, including me, is sort of like down on Tesla, but there's no way I would leave this much money in 20% of my portfolio, which has grown substantially over the years because of Tesla.
Is it 20% of your allocated capital or 20% of the return?
No, this is 20% of the whole portfolio. Like literally
right,
everything, including crypto.
Right, but what percent of the allocation? Because that tells you how much you're up or down. Like you could have made massive gains on it, and you could have only deployed 5% of your capital. Could be 20% of your.
Oh well, no, well, I mean, this was years and years ago, 2018. So I mean, obviously it grew. It grew into like 35%, 40% of the portfolio, right?
Right.
So, yeah. In terms of the dollars I put in it, I've already taken more than that out just by selling. When I told you I sold some shares basically at the 250s, 240s. I've taken all of my cash plus probably 3 times more out. So I don't have any cash in it.
Of Tesla?
Yeah. I don't have any of my own money in it. It's all market money, but I don't want to lose that market money.
No, I wouldn't lose it. But it's a different feeling.
Yeah. I was like, I wanted to be responsible. I sold it. Well, I did it for a couple of things because I wanted to diversify, but I didn't tell you the other thing. I paid off all the cars.
Oh, good job. Yeah, that's on the docket too.
So I just didn't want to have any car debt at all. So I paid off both Model Ys. I bought a lot of Amazon. What else did I buy? I bought a lot of crypto, Ethereum. I bought a lot of Bitcoin. I just was buying things that I felt would do better, especially paying off my debt, which I didn't want for the cars. Yeah, I just felt I would get a better return in the next year or two. Maybe not the long tail. 5 years from now, 10 years from now, yes, Tesla's at $1,000, whatever. But I still got to pay my car bill. Like whether that, I don't want to do it. Like, so I was like, do I just keep paying $350, $400 for each car? So that's like $800 total. I was like, I didn't want to do it, so I just paid them off.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Yeah, definitely getting rid of debt or those monthly bills goes a long way.
Yeah,
listen, I hate them too, and I've got a whole plan. But we need Bitcoin to do what it's
well, I think Bitcoin, I was doing some calculations. Let's transition to Bitcoin. So Have
Yeah,
you been
real.
doing your calcs like I have? I actually put my spreadsheet out and today
Yeah,
and
yeah, I am. And actually, people hitting me up on X, they're like sending me pictures of like their different. And I'm like, I'm not the only one. We're all doing this. We're all sitting at because it's really hard when you're up that much to not feel like you. It's like going up on a roller coaster. You never, and with your eyes closed, like you never know when it's gonna. You never know when it's gonna drop. And
That's true, but I have no desire right now to sell anything.
not now. No, not
Yeah.
now. But if it does break 100,000, I don't care where it breaks 100,000, unless it's
No. At 100,000, I have
like,
to be
I gotta start.
smart, just like you have to be
Yeah,
smart. Yeah.
exactly. So, but after that, then it's like anyone's guess as to where we're going. The price targets are so varied. The time frame is so varied.
But what do you think is going to happen?
I think we are gonna run up to 100 before the halving.
Forget about the 100. Where are we gonna
Where are we gonna end up?
where we stop?
This
Where
is
we're
what
gonna stop?
It's and we don't have to stand this long. I think we're gonna break 100 grand before the halving. I think we are gonna have a tanking after the halving.
Mhm.
We'll have another slow rally up. There's a little bit of the sell-in may go away. We'll probably just chop sideways.
You know that the selling may go away. I feel like that's the perfect time for S&P also to like take a
Everything's
breather.
gonna cool off. This is just what I'm feeling, and this is how I
Yeah.
feel like right now. We run up 100 grand before the halving. After the halving, sort of just dies off. Then Bitcoin goes quiet. Then sell in May, people go away, and then
When you say quiet, we're gonna have a 30% pullback, 40% pullback.
I don't know if it's going to be that big just because of the inflows that are still coming in, but whatever, 30% pullback. So we have a 30% pullback, and then we trade sideways till September, October, and I think in September it starts to pick up again. I think somewhere in September we'll see like whatever local bottom that is, 30%. Maybe we retest it. I'm just not sure. And then if we do see that, then I think we start getting a runoff. And I'd say somewhere like November, December again is where we can expect a peak. Maybe January 2025. We get a peak. Well, now where's it going to end
Well,
up?
I hope January 2020. That's when my calls expire. Some of this shit.
But are you talking about crypto, the stock?
Well, no, Clean Spark. So I have a lot of calls for Clean Spark.
That's
So
yes, Clean
January 2025, it better be like at 40, 50 bucks.
Oh, so you didn't get them? You didn't get the 26 ones?
No, because I don't believe they were more expensive, and I don't believe that I'm gonna be sticking around till like the end of
January 2025. That's too early.
Maybe we'll see what happens.
Here's the thing, though. If Bitcoin's going to peak out at 250 and it's at 200,000 in December, your calls are going to be just fine.
Well, even if it doesn't peak, look, I'm obviously going to sell them on the way up. There's no way I'm holding all these calls as they like 2, 3, 4, 10x, whatever they're going to do. There's just no way. In terms of like what I think it's going to peak at, I think around 150,000. If I was to make if I was to make you a bet, I'd probably say we reach somewhere around 150 grand. I know people are talking about 280. I don't think so. I don't think yet.
Me neither. I think 150 for me is like where it's the level where if I sold everything, I'd feel okay with, even if it ran up more. That's a level where I feel like I held out, longer, 50% more than what I was looking for, and I'd be okay with that. But I also would maybe keep a little bit on the table just because there's a factor of you have to buy back in. If you're liquidating the whole position, some of that has to be to buy back in because the next Bitcoin run will be.
Well, let me ask you. So I looked at my number that's going to hit. Maybe we'll talk about it on the podcast if it happens a year from now.
Which one?
But I'm saying the actual number when we sell our crypto.
Yeah.
But I don't need to work again. So if it hits $150,000, I don't know if I need Bitcoin anymore. Do you know what I mean? It's not the same thing when you needed Bitcoin.
No, that's the idea. That is the idea. That becomes the exit strategy, the ramp to then move on to the next level. It's like everybody has ideas of what they would want to do. If you had, say, $1 million, $10 million, $20 million, a billionaire, you start thinking about these things and you could just graduate to the next level. I'm definitely of the same mindset that I'm running the numbers to maximize the chance that I reach that goal. And I'm telling this, I just feel like it's almost mathematically impossible at this point.
Not to
come out of this in really good shape.
Well, I think the way you come out of it in bad shape is the way it happened last time when it felt toppy. We talked about how toppy it was, and we still kept holding. Do you remember? Obviously, everything was pumping. We thought it would never end, but even at $70,000, when it double topped, usually that's a bad sign, by the way, when something double tops and starts tanking. Like if you saw that in any stock.
Actually hit 3 times. Twice.
But you know what I'm saying? There's 2 nice big peaks if you look at any chart analysis,
and it doesn't
that's a bad sign.
It doesn't break through. Yeah.
So I'm not going to ignore that kind of stuff anymore. So if I see some bigger pullback or going back to the 10-week MA or something like that, just liquidate out.
I'm also going to be monitoring that rainbow chart, because the rainbow chart does tell you a lot, but also the other two metrics that I'm keeping in, I'm basically keeping them up as indicators on the price of Bitcoin, is the total market cap and then the ETH, that dominance. Benjamin Cowan is right about the dominance. It is so true that Bitcoin can't be too big in the crypto space and it can't be too strong against the other coins. These are things that actually are like guardrails to make sure that we don't get into Ponzi scheme territory. And it's not that people are doing that on purpose. It just sort of naturally happens. I think if I watch those three indicators, you have the price of Bitcoin, rainbow chart, looking at crypto's total market cap, how much of that is Bitcoin and how strong is it against Ethereum. I think that's going to tell you everything you need to know. Strength against the altcoins, how much dominance it has, and where the price action is and how fast it ran out to get an idea of volume. And I think that's the way out. That's the way to say, okay, there's at least two of those indicators tell you it's time to sell. I think you feel good selling something at that point.
Well, it's also just like offloading in stages too. I don't think we have to sell everything. Like we're not in that position where like
true, by the way, the inflation is eating everyone's gains.
I think Bitcoin's keeping up with inflation just fine.
But think about where you would have been if you had the same amount of money in hand 4 years ago or 2021.
And by the way, yes, I gave up massive gains. I should have sold then. I agree with you.
Gains, right? So what would you have been able to do with that money? So now there's more pressure on the portfolio to hit those numbers. But
yeah. I do want to. I mean, if you want to talk,
that's going to be fun. You want to watch that? Tyson versus Paul, Jake Paul is fighting.
Is that right now? When is that happening?
No. I think it's like the 20th.
Oh, do you want to bring up the Biden thing for a couple of minutes? Let's see what he's saying.
Yeah, bring it up. I'll bring up some.
Isn't it shareable? You have to put it in.
Oh yeah. Here we go. Share the audio. You have to share it on the same clip. There you go.
You hear it?
Yeah. Raise it up. Let's see what he says. Folks.
I inherited an economy is on the brink. Now our economy is literally the envy of the world. 15 million new jobs in just 3 years. A record. A record.
He took his pills today to stay focused.
I'm warning.
50-year low. A record 16 million Americans are starting small businesses, and each one is a literal act of hope. With historic job growth and small business growth for Black and Hispanics and Asian Americans, 800,000 new manufacturing jobs in America.
Is this a comedy?
Yeah. Where is it written we can't be the manufacturing capital of the world? We are. We will. More people have health insurance today.
Is a myth there?
More people have health insurance today than ever before. The racial wealth gap is as small as it's been in 20 years. Wages keep going up. Inflation keeps coming down. Inflation has dropped from 9% to 3%, the lowest in the world and tending lower. The landing is and will be soft. And now, instead of importing foreign products and exporting American jobs, we're exporting American products and creating American jobs right here in America, where they belong. And it takes time, but the American people are beginning to feel it. Consumer studies show consumer confidence is soaring. Buy America has been the law of the land since the 1930s. Past administrations, including my predecessor, including some Democrats as well in the past, failed to buy American. Not anymore. On my watch, federal projects that you fund, like helping build American roads, bridges, and highways, will be made with American products and built by American workers.
It's always funny how half of them stand up, half don't. Like he said a really good thing for everybody, but you know, like it'd be nicer if everybody, for the good points,
the United States
all
is investing
clapped.
more in research and development than
They can't be seen agreeing with them.
During the pandemic, a shortage of semiconductors, chips.
But also, like, isn't like
price
our
of
American
everything from
infrastructure
cell phones
something
to
like
automobiles.
physically the one thing you can
By the way,
outsource?
we invented those chips right
Think
here
about
in
it.
America.
Outsource?
Yeah, like you
Well,
can't
instead of having to
outsource
import
that to
them,
another country because they're
instead of
literally
private
in
Oh,
companies.
but he's
are now
saying they're
investing
actually have
billions
new
of
bills
dollars
for that,
to
right?
build new chip factories here in America, creating tens of thousands of jobs. Many of those jobs paying $100,000 a year and don't require a college degree.
I agreed with Chris on Snowflake yesterday. What are you talking about?
In fact, my policies
We
have
should have a
attracted
shot every time they
$650
clap.
billion
I like that.
Oh my God.
in
We'll be
private
hanging-
sector investment in clean energy, advanced manufacturing, creating tens of thousands of jobs here in America.
I mean, it's the same. I don't know. Okay.
We're turning it off.
Huh?
Hold on a
Yeah.
sec.
I mean, we can put it back on, but I'm just like,
Yeah. No, I paused it.
it's the same old.
Well, I mean, that's what State of the Unions are. You know, like that's just how they go.
It's crazy that we're still doing these.
Well, it's supposed to be every year.
Wouldn't it be better if it was a podcast? We just like sat down and did like a
I like the way they do it now. That it's all on YouTube. You can just like, it's much better than it used to be. Like when we were growing up. You know.
yeah. Just sit them down, have them talk for a couple hours, bring up some graphics, maybe. So what
Oh,
they
like
do.
a podcast where he talks to the American people directly, almost, and takes calls.
How cool would that? In fairness, he sounds.
Call in, guys.
He sounded fine.
No, he sounded good, and my worry is like he didn't take enough Adderall, but it looks like he did, so I'm kind of happy he really did.
Wonder what are they doing? Like if you cut that guy open, what pops out? Is it like fairy dust?
Listen, we need it. We need him alive.
Like,
2 more years.
So what was the last thing that I wanted to talk? So we talked OpenAI, we talked NVIDIA, we talked Bitcoin. You wanted to do a little bit on Google?
Well, does anybody want to? Well, I sold more
Ready?
Google, by the way.
Oh,
So,
if anybody wants to hop on.
yeah.
I don't know if listen, I almost didn't make the podcast tonight. We had like a flood here.
Oh
like
shit.
I
You
actually
mean rain? You mean rain?
flood. Yeah, like
Okay.
a flash flood. It just like started raining out of nowhere. And like it was actually still sunny and it was raining. That's how you knew what the hell's going on. It started raining and then it just buckets. So I don't know if you can see, but like look how I have it. I have it all. See the curtains? Because like water actually came in.
You guys in California ain't ready for rain.
Well, this is on the private property. It all has to do with slopes, and different ways that you can get water pumped back out. But it was so much so fast that it like overloaded all of the traditional channels.
Right.
And, like,
all the gutters and all that.
Yeah, me and my wife and my mother-in-law were in there with like buckets shoveling, just getting the water out of there. It was crazy. So I was like almost.
Is your pool overflowing?
No, not. You always leave. I don't know about.
You leave up 6 inches or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was definitely throwing some in there, and the pool guy came today, so he'll have to come back and rebalance the chemicals. But this is the rainy season. So yeah, so I almost missed it, and I was like, I haven't had a chance to catch up on too much other stuff. But I did want to talk a little bit about Google.
Well, does anyone want to join? I don't know if you posted the link one last time. If anyone wants to come on for a couple of minutes,
Wants to come on,
ask a question, or whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah. Oh, the Boeing losing a tire. Did you see that?
I
Bro,
didn't.
A freaking tire fell off, smashed
Man,
like cars. I don't know if
You mean while just driving the
While
plane?
taking
Or what was it?
while taking off.
Lost the tower taking off.
Yeah,
How did it land?
It landed in like a parking lot. It crushed 2 cars. You know how big those tires are? You know how big
Jesus
those freaking
Christ.
airplane tires are?
Man, Boeing is not having a good. But that's probably not Boeing's fault, right? That's more like whoever the airline is not doing proper maintenance. I would think.
I'm sorry that you built it when the tires fell off
I
the
don't know.
BZ4. That's Toyota's fault.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? If the tire falls off the car, like
It depends how old the BZ4 is. I would say.
it's not older than that plane. That plane is old. That plane's old enough to vote.
I don't know if that plane's 20 years old, whatever, 10 years old, 20 years old, and the maintenance crew just didn't check that. So I don't know.
Come on, I got to give this. This is it's a good comment. That's funny. That's clever. It's witty. It attaches to what we were watching. That's really good. I'm gonna hit like for that one. I only.
Oh yeah, everybody hit like and subscribe if you haven't yet.
Like, subscribe if you haven't. Yeah.
I still don't know if it's the same people who just watch the show every day. 268.
Yeah, I'm with you, Ken, but I'm just not sure what that means. What is the worst possible outcome in November? I'm just not sure what that means.
I look in past elections, no matter who wins, Republicans or Democrats, the market does good after. So I don't know if it's necessarily bad for us in terms of some at least blow off top. I think S&P 6,000 or whatever, we're gonna have some blow off top, and we have not got there yet, in my opinion.
Yeah. Oh, let me do this. Vision Pro review. It's been a
Oh,
while. I've had
week
it for,
2.
yeah, oh, I've had it for a while now. I've had it for,
Are you using it daily?
yeah. I mean, I'm using it probably, like I said, it's still my go-to device for the morning. It's a great device to just put on in the morning and be able to check in with your life. If you're stationary, you're at home, you have it on. It's great. You do actually just sort of forget. The pass-through is really good, especially when you have good light. What I think is, like, just that aside, I think you can go on any on YouTube and you can find a million of these reviews. I'm not going to say anything different. That's any of the reviews. What I'm looking for is more like, does this thing have that secret Apple sauce? Like, is this going to be the thing that's going to carry it into the next one? What I've come to feel now is, like, I do believe that it is, and I also believe that it has to be. If you see even what's happening in China right now with the slumping sales, and there's going to be companies like, basically Apple, I think, has plateaued in terms of the physical number of units, and so they need that next thing to grow. So I think Apple is betting the entire company on this thing. It needs to be successful, and I think it will be. But what is missing is the killer app. You put this thing on, you realize how amazing it is. The hand tracking and the eye tracking and hand tracking is nothing short of magical. But then you're immediately left with, like, there's something I want to do with this, but someone hasn't invented it yet. So
What I found the problem with all of these VRs is that
try one. Did you try it yet?
well, no, I didn't try the Apple VR yet, but just in terms of, like, even the Quest, the problem is, like, I want to share an experience with someone. You could stream it a little bit to the TV, but it's hard to pass that experience off. Like, hey, check this out.
Yeah. Yeah.
That when that's easier, like, there's going to be less friction. So, like,
With the Vision Pro, I'd argue it's even worse because it needs to have your eye position, and everyone's eye position is different. Like, when you put it on, it actually adjusts.
that's to scan you, right? Has to scan your face.
Eyes, right? So if I'm holding on something and I'm like, oh, this is awesome, and I put it on my wife, as the first thing she has to do is do the code. There's a code to turn it on.
Crazy.
She can't. She does not have the coordination, or the thing is not calibrated to her to be able to even unlock it. So it is frustrating to try to share the experience with someone. And so I don't know.
They should make it easier to share this experience no matter what.
What I can say is this. I think within this year, someone is going to create the killer app for this thing. It's too good. It's too good of a technology not to have, like, this one killer app that people are like, holy fuck. Because look, the productivity stuff is good, and I really don't know what people are complaining about with respect to, first of all, the weight. It's not that heavy, and I partially am kidding that maybe I'm a freaking headbanger and my neck muscles are strong, but it is not that heavy where I would say this is incredibly uncomfortable. If anything, in order for it to be attached to your face, in order for it to not feel heavy, it needs to be on your face really tight. And if anything, there's soreness in your eyes from the compression. It's exactly the same as you would feel when you're snowboarding for a while and you get that compression on your face. The actual physical weight for me is not a problem, but it is for some people. So it's something that they do need to work on.
So you have, I think Apple only gives you 2 weeks to return it. First of all, I don't think it's 30 days. So are you keeping it?
Oh, yeah, I'm going to keep it. I'm going to keep it because I feel like within the next 12 to 14 months or 16 months, there is going to be someone, whether it's Apple or someone, that's going to have an unbelievable use case for this. I will say this though.
But wouldn't you want the Gen 2 version? Like, I would think that would be like,
but vintage.
And you don't want to pay another $3,000, I'm sure.
No, well, look, at that point, I think I'll be able to sell it. Like, if I really
you know what happens to every device as soon as there's another version, it's half the price.
You could also trade it back into Apple, and then they'll go and refurbish it. So if I really wanted to offload it, I can. I feel like you're going to get better money for, like.
Do you guys have a link? I think someone's asking. You want to point it? Yeah. We have 9 minutes left, so if you want to join and discuss something, go ahead. You have to do video. You can't do audio. We have to see. If you're going to make fun of us, we got to see eye to eye here.
So there's that,
and you got to be nice. I'm just pointing that out.
Yeah. Okay. So there is that bit of it, but what were we talking about? I feel like I just lost my train of thought.
Well, it's not heavy, and you're going to keep it.
Oh, what I was going to say is this. This is what I think Apple's going to do. Apple's going to make a fucking glove.
The Power Glove.
They're going to make a fucking glove.
Like the Nintendo Power Glove.
I feel like they are. I feel like they're going to make a glove.
A glove would be cool. Honestly, a glove would be very cool.
Everyone who has an Apple Watch, the way it sends you notifications with this really sort of tactile, like this like slight vibration where every like notifications have different vibrations and you know what they are. I feel like
I actually don't have an Apple Watch, but my kids do. So
oh no, they're awesome. They're awesome. And if you have like
Yeah.
if you have it on vibrate, it's going to give you different vibrations depending on what it's trying to notify. And after a while,
Right.
you just get that sensation on your wrist. You know exactly what it is. I feel like Apple's going to make some sort of a glove, a pair of gloves or something to so that you can actually have some tactile response because because it's like tracking your fingers. It's got.
I mean, honestly, people
what
are
I'm
working on that in VR, but that would be really cool.
Look, I don't know this for sure. I'm just saying, as I'm working on this, I'm like, Apple's going to need some controller type device. So what is that going to be? I'm like, they're not going to make controllers. After all this time, they would look like idiots if they release controllers. So I think they're going to make gloves because then you can do things like tapping fingers together and it could register that because the
Right.
device.
And it could also track the glove better anyway. That could be a gaming device just in a different format,
Yep. I'm throwing that out there because I feel like that's a way that they could get enterprise. I mean, imagine you had that with your enterprise, with your employees. You can have them do things in VR that if you just have these gloves, like you said, fidelity of data from a pair of gloves on employees would be way better. Anyway, that's my take. So the long and short of it is, I still feel like this technology is still too early. The idea of people living in this virtual world, what I'm starting to think now is that by the time we get to the point where people are mature enough to be ready and accept the goggles, we're going to leapfrog it.
I don't know if they're going to leapfrog it, but remember, it took 20 years or so to get to this point. It didn't take 1 year like everybody keeps, even besides Meta working on it for a decade. Before that, me and you heard of VR in the 80s, first of all. Like, it's just that it's better, by the way. It used to be, remember, you had to be in a certain spot. You had to be surrounded. There was like this whole ring. You had to be tethered to a computer all the time. So we're already better than that. I think 5 years, maybe 10 years, I do believe these things are way smaller, and I do believe more people will have them. I think it is going to take, though, 5 or 10 years.
I think the fundamental hurdle that VR will not be able to get past is the fact that you have to close yourself off from the outside world, and it takes over like your entire vision periphery. And then you also, like you were saying, you can't share very easily.
That's got to be solved.
That experience. That's something that whether it's a Vision Pro or MetaQuest or the Vive, whatever it is, they all have that same problem. That's why I think it's not going to be until it's incorporated into something literally like glasses, which I have to say, that is something where the fact that they're on that puck is actually a good thing because they can offload the little puck, the battery puck. Because they can offload some of the processing and actually get this thing. If you take off the spacer, the light seal thing, it actually sits pretty close to your face, and you get an idea of like where Apple's going with it, and it'll get there.
Well, I bet you version 2, that puck is gone.
I don't think so. I think they're gonna rock this thing for a minute. It's because you'd have to get the technology so miniaturized.
I mean,
like they still have a lot of work to do on the front.
It might not be next year, but I think within 2 years it's integrated. And battery tech, if it is getting better, 2 years from now could be enough where it gets it a little bit of the way there.
It could be. And if they did, from what I understand, there were arguments inside in Apple where people were saying put the battery in the back because it could actually be a good counterweight to the technology in the front. But it was something about being on a plane or laying down that Apple was like, no, absolutely not.
Can't. That actually makes sense. I do use the VR laying down.
You don't want to have that separation. Look, I mean, I just think it's the contraption. It's the idea of placing something on your head that is a problem. It's just a fundamental problem. You can't get around that. So I think someone will make the killer app for it. They will sell units. Version 2 or 3, this thing will really take off. And then if there's anyone's game, I think maybe even by then we'll actually see whatever technology comes later. I just don't think people are really are prepared for how fast the innovations are going to come from this point. Like seriously, how fast the innovations are going to come, especially the ones in AI where they're using AI to train it. So it's going to be ridiculous. Like Tesla, the FSD thing, I'm still on my 2024 trajectory. This thing is being trained on fucking video. And if you look at what Sora,
well, you are 3 months in, you have 9 months.
If we just look at what Sora and what these other companies are doing with video and being able to generate video, the fact that what Tesla's trying to do is actually a small problem compared to what you're asking the other companies to do. Anyway, I just think the advancements are going to come, and we'll see that ChatGPT moment this year.
Did somebody join us? I don't know.
Is somebody there? No, it says we have VITALY. So I think we're actually. Oh yeah, we got. So yeah, we got. Anybody want to hop on? Anyway, that's That's my my take on the Vision Pro. Now, in terms of the stock price, man, I think
Actually, yeah, we should discuss that. It's
okay,
starting to get interesting.
it is starting to get interesting. And what I think is this: I think that the market's
bring it up.
patience with Apple is running out. I think the ChatGPT, the Soras, the Geminis.
Oh shit! Hold on. Let me see. Let's bring it up. I don't know if you want to bring it up or I bring it up, just to see where we are.
I think we're at what are we? 169 exactly.
169.
169. Here, I got it right here. Let me see. Oh, this one doesn't have my lines, but actually it has some. All right, so this is Apple.
Carlos, you need to send the right web link. Did you post the wrong one?
No, I'm copying the link. Hold on.
You got to click the.
Try that one. Do it here too.
So I had Apple, by the way, like D says, I did buy it, by the way, at somewhere around 130, and it went to, I think, 160, 170, and I sold it for obviously other stocks. But yeah, back at 130, I think that's actually pretty good price.
130.
Yep, somewhere around there. I wouldn't mind buying it back in.
Yeah. So look, where are we now? Man, I was following this a while. These lines were a while ago. So where are we now? Okay, look, we have there's a beautiful.
Does that look like a double top to you or what?
I don't know. I mean, it's like McDonald's. It literally couldn't be.
Honestly, that looks like a double top. Maybe I'm not going at 130. What is that bottom support? You know those two bottom peaks right there?
Bottom support. Hold on, I gotta fix the parameters down here because this is showing me percentages. Hold on. Here we go. Here we go.
Like with the bottom of your blue line.
The bottom of this down here.
What is that?
124.
That seems like a reasonable place, actually.
Look, a lot of stocks have come back around, all the way back, and given up a bunch.
So 130, 124, whatever, somewhere around there.
Look at Tesla. Tesla gave back everything since November 2020, when it started when it was in the middle of this move up, and then. So there we go.
I mean, Tesla's a whole. If you look at Tesla, it's just it's a nightmare right now.
You gotta have some serious balls to hold this stock. I mean, personally, for me, as much as we talk about, I'm still accumulating. Like, I feel pretty good about my Tesla position.
I'm good.
I'm looking to start a number 2, a backup to it. And for 10 minutes, okay, we got MetaMike.
I'll share the Amazon. Someone asked about Amazon.
Go ahead. What's up, MetaMike? Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Oh, hey, what's up? What's up, Mike?
Have you ever joined a podcast before?
I did. Actually, I joined your podcast in the past. It was with AMIT and KRIS.
Yeah.
So this is the second time on Finance Junkies.
Okay, very nice. I guess I wasn't there, huh?
No, you weren't there. And actually, my question, I actually wanted both of you guys on the show because I wanted to talk about Bitcoin a little bit. And
sure, we love it. let's do this.
So actually, the funny thing is, I had a similar journey as you, Vitaly. Bought the top, held it, and just keep holding.
Well,
so
what year are we talking about?
This is 2021.
Oh, I didn't buy the top in 2021.
You bought the top in 2021?
Right, I see what you're saying. Basically, in 2017, when I had that story.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, but I had it in the future. So I think that's everyone's hard lesson.
Now in the past, but yes, I get you.
You got to disclose any relationship you guys have outside of this.
That's my bro. He decided to get on the pod.
Yeah. So do you guys think because of the ETFs that we're going to have a similar, continue to have the cycles after this?
Yeah.
I was about to say absolutely yes.
Absolutely, but it's going to become, it's compressed at a certain point. It's diminishing returns because just the amount of money that you need to get. The name of the game is market cap, right? That's the name of the game. That's where you get your multiples. So if we're at, is it easier to go to 1 to 2.4 trillion from 1.2 than it is to go to 5 from 2.5? Yeah.
I mean, we're not going to get the 100x anymore unless you're going out into the spectrum of shit coins, right? So Bitcoin's not going to give you that. If you're okay with that, the plus side is that, okay, so the 3, 4, 5, maybe a 10x possibly way out into the future. But the good news is it's worth something now. Everybody agrees it's not worth nothing. Remember we had these discussions even in 2021.
Right.
It's worth nothing. It's going to zero.
That's off the list. Yeah.
That's gone. I don't think anybody believes that narrative at all. So But in terms of the volatility, we have several cycles until the world adopts it. I mean, penetration is still what, 5% in terms of normies.
Right.
So,
right.
the normies are not in yet. When we're at 95 penetration, just like for solar or EVs, there's plenty of upside left. And the people who argue about like a 5x is not enough, what is wrong with you? Like,
Right.
I don't know.
But do you guys think it's better off maybe the next cycle getting into maybe Ethereum or Solana, because you'll get more of a multiple, like the
There'll be a
next,
new coin. That's the problem. So Ethereum might be at the stage where Bitcoin was last cycle, right? It got to 20,000. That was a lot. That was a big top, a big blow. You know, maybe you should, if it hits $3,000 again and went to 20, maybe that's a great time to buy Ethereum for the next run up. I do agree on you there, but I don't know if Solana is going to be around. Honestly, those things have not proven out themselves. Those are hype coins. And yes, they have big market caps. Like Cardano, for example,
Right.
it went up a little bit. It went up to $3 last time. It's barely moving right now. It went up double. That's nothing for Cardano. So I think some of these altcoins are going out the window. There'll be a new round of altcoins that maybe me and Carlos should pay attention to next time, because I totally ignored it this time around. And but Ethereum is going to be around. So if that actually crashes back to 3,000 and hits 20 this time, I don't know if it's happening that way, but let's say it does do that, what Bitcoin did the last cycle. That would be just mind-blowing, like 2 cycles ago. I don't know if you remember that. And if that happens, like, I'm all about Ethereum, like you're saying, because I think that's the one that's going to stick around. I'm not sure about anything else like Solana or anything like that.
I'll give my 2 cents here. I think at a
Doge.
certain point, go all into Doge. No, what I think is, I think crypto, like Bitcoin maturing as an asset class, is different from crypto maturing as an asset class. And I do think by somewhere between this halving and next halving, Bitcoin, the idea of buying Bitcoin for these big rallies is muted. And I think it becomes the store of value. It becomes the gold to the silver. And then under silver, you have the other precious metals. I think that's how to look at these altcoins, right? So I think if the name of the game is to amplify your money, then yeah, I think probably next cycle and the cycle after that, Ethereum is probably going to be a better bet, just because it's at a lower market cap, and Bitcoin will seem out of reach to certain people. Because if you look at just the number of people who are whole coiners at this point, it's already a very small amount. I think there's only 4 million people in the world that hold one coin, and that's for how many billions of people on the planet, right? If everybody bought one, I saw some statistic. I think if everybody in the world had one, everyone would have like $126 worth of Bitcoin if you divide
I think
it evenly among everyone. So, yeah, I think next cycle Ethereum is going to operate the way Bitcoin did at those same levels.
It seems possible, but if you were to go all in, just go into cat with hat.
You'd have been.
I heard about that. I heard about that one.
That's the one that made 1,500.
Because next cycle is going to like 20,000 a coin.
Yeah, look at this, Douglas Herschel. If you own 3.3 BTC, you're in the top 1% owner in the world. There's just not enough of this to go around. So I think at that point, Ethereum right now can peak at, I think we're going to see 5-digit Ethereum, right? Which means you can compare Ethereum's run this year to Bitcoin's run in 2017. To that, when it finally broke out of 4 digits and hit 5 digits and ran up, right? And then you can do the math on what the next halving would be. That might be Ethereum's $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 moment, right?
Okay, so basically Ethereum's a couple cycles behind.
That's how it seems to me.
That's what it seems like. We don't know exactly,
Again,
but
don't know for sure, but that's certainly what it seems like to me. They are very, very closely correlated, but you don't know.
And they trade in a range too, which
there's 0.4 to 0.6 or something, or
it's like 0.03 to 0.08 in terms of we talked about this I think yesterday with Amit. There's a Ethereum Bitcoin valuation, the ratio, and it's usually trades between like 0.03 to 0.08, the ratio. If you look at the ETH BTC chart, in either case, I would just pay attention to that, and it's, as long as Ethereum stays as the number 2 to basically Bitcoin, it might trade like that for a long time. So the one worry is if Bitcoin hits some plateau, let's say it plateaus in a couple of years at a couple $100 grand. We don't know this, of course.
Sure.
Then Ethereum's also capped, right?
Every kind of stalls at that point, right?
To make it simple, to make it simple, just the last time that Bitcoin was at this level, 62, whatever, between the 65,000, Ethereum was at 4,500. So Ethereum,
Well, it's going to run now. I think
Ethereum's
it's in
knocking
the
on
process of.
on 4,000. So you get this idea of like Bitcoin can't be too much greater percentage than what Ethereum is. Just to keep it simple. So you ask yourself, how many Ethereum does it take to buy a Bitcoin? When it takes too many Ethereum coins to buy one Bitcoin, either Ethereum's undervalued or Bitcoin's overvalued. And you can see that on a chart. You can actually see that ratio changing either as Bitcoin goes up or Ethereum goes down, that ratio. And that's an indicator too of how those currencies are trading with each other.
So this is a fallacy, the primordial light. Solana has a bigger growth than ETH. Yes, when you're going from 0 to 1, you have grown 100%, whatever, 1,000%. Like, that is a mistake to look at these things. If you look at the developer community for these coins, Ethereum has clearly the lead in terms of the amount of mind share for the crypto community. Will Solana do well? Yes, I think Solana will do extremely well as it has. I think it's going higher. In fact, I was contemplating just throwing some money into it to see where it goes. But to say it's going to be anywhere near Ethereum,
look at that.
Highly doubtful.
Ethereum got to a 0.1 Bitcoin during the ICO craze.
That's kind of crazy. That's very high. Okay.
Yeah.
But usually there's a range. 0.03 or so to 0.08 is the range it likes to be in.
Yeah.
And right now, by the way, it's breaking out. I don't know if you saw the chart, but it's did you leave?
No, sorry.
Right now it's breaking out. I think Ethereum is breaking out against Bitcoin currently. Like, it was in a downtrend. Now it's breaking out. So if Bitcoin doesn't tank, Ethereum should go back to its all-time highs before everything collapses.
Yeah, but
so at what point are you guys out as far as selling Bitcoin? Are you is it 18
Did you miss the beginning of the show? Did you miss the...
Well, typically it's what 12 to 18 months after the halving. So after the halving, it's typically in like the December of the year prior. But the problem is we've never broken the all-time high before the halving. Yes. So what does that mean? And you know, there's been some good points made. Benjamin's made the point. I've heard Jesse make the point that even though we have these spot ETFs, it's not like these institutions can just go buy it or buy Bitcoin right away. There's regulatory processes that happen internally at these companies before they can release any sort of substantial funding for any of this stuff. And also there's a bit of like wait and see. Just because they can doesn't mean they're going to run out and put 1% allocation of their portfolio, right? They want to see how the ETFs trade, see how the asset goes, and then, you know, you make a decision maybe even a quarter out. So there's a lot of arguments to be made that the real institutional money has not even come in yet. And that what we're seeing is just retail, right? Even though they're not interested, even though the metrics that indicate retail interest, like YouTube searches and views, maybe retail is not doing that, but they're actually largely responsible for this pump that we're seeing, in addition to the ETF inflows, right? So it could be that after the halving, maybe we do get a dump as retail dumps, expecting the dump. And then that retail, that institutional money actually starts making its way in once they see better prices.
Put up Mike's comment. I agree with him, Mike Smith.
Yeah. But what's interesting was when it did hit the new high, it wicked down 10K. So, I mean, who's really controlling the market? I'm assuming the
I mean, you got to think of it when it, I mean, there's people who are, first of all, going to sell when it hits all-time highs. Like, how could you not do that?
Well, there was one.
Even I contemplated taking some profits. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
But did you see the guy? Did you see that one whale that sold 1,000?
Yeah, the old wallet, right? The old wallet that they
mined. It was mined in 2010, 14 years. That means homeboy held the last one. And it went like $1 over the all-time high, and he made $69 million.
I mean, like, why wouldn't you sell? Like, at that point, it's
but
if he didn't, it would make no sense. You know what I'm saying?
$1 million, you know, and be done. So, but look, to like the fact that we're talking about selling doesn't mean that crypto isn't the best thing to ever rule the world. I get that there's a bit of like an irony or a joking to that. Well, but the idea is like, if you know that this thing has really high highs and really low lows, and it's somewhat predictable when these things happen, you'd be an idiot not to try to amplify your position.
Hold on, but it's even better than that, because me and Carlos have been in so long. Once we hit a certain number, like, we retire or we get close enough where it doesn't matter for us to hold Bitcoin anymore, unless we want to just be greedy. So at some point, you have to sell any asset, by the way. At some point, the houses I bought, maybe they won't be sold in my generation. They will eventually be sold to somebody else. Yeah. That's just what happens with assets. Eventually they're transferred. You take the other gains and you move it to something else. it doesn't matter how much you love a thing. It just doesn't matter.
So last thing, you're what are you heavily invested in right now? Meta, Mike?
Tesla, some Bitcoin, and buying
And
the
no Meta?
no Meta. No,
Well, it's in your name. I don't know.
no. Wow. No,
It is
Meta.
nice. It is nice when one of your top holdings in your stocks, like Tesla, buys the other top holdings in Bitcoin. You're like, all right, they're all supporting each other.
So
it's nice to see them all.
So my theory too is similar to the FSD, the bots. There's so much going for Tesla. It's just time and being patient. I think at this point, I mean, there's too many tailwinds right now. Once the rates drop, people start making more money, being able to afford a car. It just takes a while. I mean, I think what Elon is doing is, he's changing things. He's changing, especially the auto market, and along with the energy market as well. So it's going to be interesting the next few years, and the AI plays that he does have, because truly the FSD is an AI. So that's going to be interesting. See
Well, I agree with you. The long term of it, once again, I believe in it. And the question is, are you willing to hold whatever you have? I don't know how big of a portfolio you have in Tesla, but are you willing to hold it for the next 5-10 years without worrying too much about it? If you are, then you don't have to touch it at all. You can forget about it.
Yeah.
And so here we got our recap of the state of the Thanks.
Well, wait till you hear Trump next year.
Oh yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I appreciate you guys having me on the show.
Thanks for coming on.
Pretty awesome. All right.
All right. Thank you.
See you guys.
Thank you. And
I think we're gonna call it a wraps, right?
yeah. I got nothing else. I mean, we kind of went through all the topics today. I'm sure we could talk about other stuff, but this is the last one for the week. All right, so guys, thanks for another week at Finance Junkies. Vitaly and Carlos holding it down while Amit and KRIS played hooky today.
And it was actually better. I just want to say
it's got a good just catching up in here. Two gentlemanly conversation.
Two
right,
degenerate gamblers.
Hit like, hit subscribe, follow us on Twitter, join our free Discord. The link will be below. And if you want to support us, we have a Patreon. We'll see you guys next week.
Oh yeah, we have a Discord and a Patreon. And let me see if this will happen. What do you do?
What do you mean? Oh, this?
I thought it. No, I thought it does. Oh, that's what it does.
There's this one.
I was like, hello. All right, we always end with that. All right,
the deuces is the confetti. All right,
guys. Peace.